All right, everybody, welcome back to our channel here. We are starting a new series called What is Christianity? And we hope you join us for our journey. This is going to be sprinkled through our normal Tuesday episodes. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, notification bell, all that kind of stuff. And you can find all of our social media channels at Linktree/Joe and J Outspoken. So, we're going to kind of go down the path of letting you know how why this is an important deal for us and why we're going to even be talking about it. And we're going to get a little bit more in depth. This episode is more to give our basic testimony and the in the beginning portion for us. So hopefully you guys join us for the ride.
It's going to be a long ride.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, welcome back. So we're going to be going over what is Christianity. So we're kind of giving you a clue into stuff that's going to be coming down the road for us. But
down the pipeline,
Joe,
as they say.
Down the pipeline. So Joe, what is it for you that has I don't want to say, because you've always been a believer and you've always been in the Christian faith, right?
And I think here's the interesting thing. So I was raised Catholic. My mom was a devout Catholic. So you and I both know the church, OLPH that we grew up around in the valley.
Yep.
So that was my belief.
Many a carnival there.
Yeah, many a carnival. Great food. I grew up loosely in the Catholic Church, and I say loosely because although my mom was devout to it and things like that, I was kind of just like, come on, kids, we're going to church kind of thing. I was the one that got the pinches. Right. I'm the one that,
I remember those pinches.
Yeah, they hurt. But yeah. I grasped a little bit about it, growing up. And then life just comes at you at 100 miles an hour. As you grow up, you realize you're in middle school, then you're in high school, and then you're graduating, and you got to make real life human decisions, right? And so I was never sure what Christianity was. I was really, I knew there was God, right? There was always a being greater than us that created everything, because common sense tells you just, one day, oh, look, there's an earth, it can't happen that way. As much as people want to believe in fairies, they just don't exist. And so I had that belief. That was a standard belief with Catholic kids. You know what I mean? You have catechism, you had first communions, you had to study all these things. Not that we studied, we spent most of the time on the swings, gossiping on church grounds than we did study anything. I had a core understanding, of what being a Catholic was. And again, and we're going to, this platform, gives us that ability to do that. But there is a difference between being Catholic and being Christian, although Catholics believe they're Christians or feel they are Christians. And in every sense, they are Christians, but we just believe in different ways of getting to where we need to get to. There's one path to where we need to get to. And Christians like Jay and I believe in our path, what Catholics believe is a path as well, but it's kind of a longer version, I believe. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So to me, I've always had that understanding what it was, what I'm talking about, but I never grasped the idea. I didn't know what is God, what is the belief system? What is the Holy Trinity? What is all these things? The first time I ever heard Trinity was, I think, in the Matrix movies, and yeah, the girl was named Trinity. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Those were things.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But these are the things that growing up, you did, prayer was kind of like just bowing your head and just like, I wonder what Gilbert's doing. I wonder what, you're thinking about your friends or being out playing when you're at church, supposed to be, praying. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know any of these things. So as I got older, it just kind of went on the wayside. you know, and of course, life is known as not if life is expected to throw you curveballs in life, and a lot of people like to go to therapists and things like that, and I mean that's helpful for some people because that's what they do. And I just decided not to turn to anything. I was just like, it's what it is. Life is what it is. Um, and I think this is why you and I decided to make this episode, is because where do you start? What is Christianity? What is it all about? I mean, what's the hype about it? You know, lately you've been seeing all these call it outreach programs going on in colleges, all these, you know, evangelical events happening in your cities and your states. And it's just amazing. You know, it's like a revival, you know, and people are looking at it like, what's going on? What's the big deal? What's happening? You know, and of course you have, and you know, from all our listeners know that from our episodes that we always talk about, you know, what we are. We never hide it. We always say we're Christians and we go to church, and you know, this is our belief system. That's why we're conservatives, not so much a Republican, but a conservative. And this is because what we do and how we've come to believe in something that is bigger than ourselves and bigger than our understanding of the humankind. So to answer your question, it's hard to explain Christianity. It's hard to a lot of people see it as a religion, but being that, and I give thanks to one, my son, who has actually got me back into church and believing in the things that, you know, I seen such a change in my son that it like, oh my God, this kid's on to something, you know, and he's a millennial. So you're like, hey, this kid's up, you know, he's onto something. Maybe I didn't see this because of my life and the way it was so busy and blah, blah, blah. Excuses, right? We make excuses for everything. And I'm like, all right. And then the second person I need to thank is you, obviously, because you were that additional driving force that led me to a church and to where we're at today. So to both my son and you, thank you very much. But it's important to understand what it's about. To me, and I think this is my version, I don't see Christianity as a religion. To me, it's not a religion. To me, Christianity is a way of life.
I agree.
It's a way of life. It's how you live your life as a Christian. And what does that mean? Man, we're going to talk about that. We're going to tell you exactly what being a Christian is, because, you know, although the Jewish belief, there's over 600 and something laws, right? And everybody knows in the 10 laws that God passed down to Moses. And then there's actually comes down to just two, right? And that's what's important. That's what we're going to talk about. And we want to tell people, we want to share with people our experience, like what happened that got us there. So we're not going into a lot of detail because that's for further down the road, but we do want to kind of share a little bit about what it is, how it could impact you out there, and what's it look like in your everyday life, you know. And it's trust me, it's harder than you think, and
yeah,
I think it's for a reason that it's that way, because, you know, how easy it is to pick at a grocery store or anywhere else, and you pick up a piece of candy from. Remember when they used to have candies just sticking out? You could buy them by the pound.
Oh, yeah.
How easy. Yeah.
The Brock's candies.
Yeah. How easy was it for you just grab one and eat a few while you're shopping at the grocery store? That's called theft. That's stealing. You can't do that.
Very easy.
But it's easy. You know, sometimes so in life we look at things and like.
That's Leviticus 19:11. Do not steal, do not lie.
And so, but here's the thing. How easy is that path versus doing the right thing, right? It's like everyday life. How easy it is to just, I'm just going to have one more cigarette than to quit. How much easier is like, oh, look, I've had 4 beers, I'm good to drive, than to not drink and not drive. Yeah. You know, the path to doing the wrong thing is easy. And you know why? Because it's in our nature. We're born that way to always take the wrong road, right? So, we have to get back to our the way we live, and that's through Christianity. So I don't know. What do you think, Jay? What do you think so far? I think it's important, right? I mean, it's a way of life, right? It's not a religion. It's how we live our life.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you were saying that, I said I 100% agree with it. Christianity is a way you wake up in the morning and you're already telling yourself, this is the way I need to live the day. And one of the things that I think is hardest for people, and I really believe this is the hardest thing for people to come to Christianity, is is, number one, is that they feel that the life they're leading is already in this, sinless or this sinful vein or what have you, that I could never be accepted by this Puritan religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're not saying that Christianity is a religion, but that's the way secular society looks at it. So we'll just use easy to understand terms. So these folks think that, well, I stole stuff yesterday. I'm going to steal some stuff in here in a few minutes. I'm going to be having sex out of wedlock. All the things that you think about, right? And here's the surprising thing is that Christians sin too, and they sin every single day. I mean, we sat in church. We sat in church a couple days ago, and the pastor said, "Even I'm a sinner." He pointed to himself, right?
Yeah.
So we always think that we look at these folks that are up on the pulpit or up on stage or what have you, and we look at them as they're holier than thou. We look at like the Pope, great example. This is just a man. He is nobody more special than the poorest, most insignificant person on the planet, and nobody is insignificant in God's eyes. Just so you know. So number one is that people think that they are too sinful or, they're not deserving of it. The other is kind of the same, but the opposite. They don't want to give up that life, right? They don't want to quit what they're doing. And they know that if they become a Christian, they have to work for it. So, and here's the easy way to look at it. So let's say you're not in the best shape in the world, right? You get up every morning, you're like, oh man, my pants are fitting tight and I need to get into shape. What do you have to start doing? You have to start eating right and probably going to the gym, right? Or
probably closing that mouth, not putting everything in it.
So you've got to start making some new changes and some habits.
Yeah, correct.
Habits, right? Working out, eating right, changing your mindset, thinking about things differently. And once somebody gets there, and we see it all the time, you have influencers and everything that are on, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that are living this life, and they'll show their before pictures. I had all this weight on me and everything, and now I'm doing. And if you ask them, so would you go back to the way you were before? Absolutely not. This has taken a lot of work, and I've really put a lot into it, and I have to think about it every day. When I get up, I want a donut and the jellies and jams and everything, but I don't do that anymore. I do 3 eggs in the morning or whatever, and I limit my carbs and I do my proteins, and right. So it's a conscious effort every single morning to live that better life. And that's kind of what Christianity is. I'm simpling it down and making it, easier to digest and understand in the natural world. But that's what it is. We wake up every morning and we have to decide to pray. And we have to decide that today we're not going to, do all these worldly things that are against what God wants us to do. And here's the thing for me personally is, you get a lot of the folks that are like, well, God's fake. It's a fairy tale. You mentioned fairies earlier. Mm-hmm. That's fairy tale, right?
Yep.
So a lot of folks will say, well, God is a fairy tale and everything. And okay. And I can see where it comes from a, secular point of view. Obviously everybody has their own view and the worldview is huge. Now I'm going to give you a definition on basic Christianity. And this is, again, the worldview of Christianity. Christianity is the world's largest religion with over 2.4 billion followers. It is an Abrahamic monotheistic religion, which means that Christians believe in one God, but that God has 3 aspects. And Joe talked about this earlier with the Trinity, not from the movie The Matrix, but God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And, when you understand what happened, see, a lot of folks are like, well, you guys believe in Jesus. This was this guy that lived a couple thousand years ago. Okay. And even in Muslim religions, right, in Islam, even in the Quran, it speaks about Jesus. And now to them, he was a prophet, but he wasn't the son of God, correct? And they think highly of him too, because they believe he was one of the prophets. They believe in 4 major books, of course, the Torah, the Quran that was the last one. The Bible was right before that, and I can't remember the name of the. It's like the Torah or something like that. It was another book, but anyhow, this is where the world sees Christianity as just another one of these religions that's out there that believes in another fairy tale, something different and everything. And
so you real quick, and I'm sorry to interrupt, so don't forget where you're
you're good.
But can I explain how it was explained to me a long time ago, the Trinity?
Yeah.
So let's take, for example, a triangle, right? There's three points of a triangle. Let's put God in the center, right? And in each corner you have, the Father, you have the Son, and then you have the Holy Spirit, right? So the Father, now if we go around the triangle, the Father is not the Son, right? And the Son is not the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is not the Father. But in the center, if you bring him to the center, the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit is God, right? So that's where you get the Holy Trinity. So let me explain to you in human terms. So let's get that same triangle, but this on one you put your mind, the other one you put your soul, and then on the third one you put your body, right? So your mind is not your soul, right? And your soul is not your body, and your body is not your mind. But together, the three are you.
Are you, right?
You know what I mean? So that's how you can't have one without the other. Clearly,
right.
we are put together in a way that we need, that one works with the other, and vice versa. The same works with the Trinity. They three in one, right? That's why a lot of people don't understand. Like even in the Bible, it says like when you leave your parents and find yourself a wife, you leave your parents and become one with your wife. So we were like, well, just that sense. There's two people, but they're in one. They're one united front. So it's important to people to understand that. It's hard, it's complicated because for years I struggled with like how's I don't understand that. How could it? But that's the nature of things. Those are how things happen. And if you see and you read the Bible, they all work together to come to this, of course, new covenant, which is the New Testament. But sorry, all right, I just wanted to explain that real quick.
No, that's really good. What I was going to say was about and this is taking it way back, and we're going to talk about this later on in one of our first episodes, but is kind of the very beginning of everything. So in the secular world, we look at how did everything start, right? We look up into space and we're like, well, everything started from this Big Bang theory. Okay. So
it's a good show.
So, yeah. So the Big Bang, what was that? There was nothing, right? There was this empty nothingness. So you're going to say that everything that exists now, the computer or phone or whatever you're watching this on, just popped into existence from nothing. Now we would say, well, no, but humans, we made computers and we made all this stuff. Okay, granted. Where did we get all that stuff from? From the earth, right? From minerals and things that we've mined from the earth. And so where did all that stuff come from? Well, it came from planetary dust and
dinosaurs, coal.
Yeah, dinosaurs. The planet was formed by, all these rocks and things hitting each other, and they finally melded together because of the gravitational pull of the sun and all this. Okay, great. So how did that sun get there? How did all that stuff get there? Well, at one time there was this gigantic just boom, and everything came into existence at one time. So
who was there to hear that? I'm just curious.
So you're going to tell me, yeah, who was there to hear that? If there's a big bang in outer space, did it actually happen? Right? So I'm trying to believe the secular view of this, right? So we're saying that there was this vast emptiness of nothing, absolutely nothing, that all of a sudden there was something, right? So from nothing to something. So we can believe in that, but we can't believe that there was somebody like an author of a book that has empty pages, right? Nothing on it. How do you get the writing on the book? An author has to create that, right? They have to write write the words and make the story. And so how did from nothing all of this stuff just appear? And it's crazy to think, because I can't hold my hand out and go, I want a rock to be right here on my hand. That's impossible, right? It can't happen. Now, to a creator, somebody that creates, that wrote the book, somebody that made the universe, they can make that rock. And obviously, if they can make one rock, they can make a billion, trillion, whatever the next set of numbers is up from there. And so it's really easy to explain away God and everything because it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But the very fact that we believe in we exist from nothing is probably the biggest fairy tale of all, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, I've heard everything because they talk about the missing link. We all come from monkeys. Oh, they've never found that middle ground, because if you have this pack of monkeys and then you have this pack of humans, and there was a curve in there where monkeys became humans, you would have a pack of something in between, right? A half monkey, half human hybrid. And they've never found that anything close to it. And so, we know from bones and things like that, there were animals in the past, and they never evolved into the ones that we have nowadays. So there aren't saber-toothed tigers anymore, but we do know that saber-toothed tigers existed. Why wouldn't there be something in the middle, that would have claim to that? And some of the really simple things, I mean, I've had these conversations with my mom and my aunt, is something as simple as like a cow. Like, how much do we rely on cows in our daily life? A lot, yeah, right? You can't go to a restaurant and order an appetizer without there being some cheese, right? And so the milk that we get from cows, and then of course, there's the meat product, and then the furniture industry with, leather and purses and shoes and everything else. So a cow has 4 stomachs. Why out of all the animals do they have 4 stomachs? Like, why would they have evolved that way and every other animal around them not evolved that way? Well, cows were created with these 4 stomachs. They do a tremendous amount of filtering in their stomach to create the milk that we drink, right? And they're finding now how healthy natural milk is over some of the pasteurization. And I'm not knocking if you drink pasteurized milk or anything like that.
How about almond milk?
Almond milk, yeah, because they milk the teat of the almond is what they do. So
ridiculous.
It's almond juice. There's no almond milk.
You press anything hard enough, you're going to get juice out of it. I'm going to tell you right now.
Juice, yeah. And everything's juicy once it's pressed enough. So God created a cow, right, for us. We're supposed to have dominion over these animals, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's no reason in evolutionary science that a cow would have evolved, whatever they would have believed the precursor to the cow would have been, that it would have evolved to have 4 stomachs, and no other animal does that. I'm not saying there are some other animals, but it's why wouldn't all animals have 4 stomachs, right? So there's so many of these things that in science don't correlate with the us coming from something again like monkeys and things like that.
I don't know if you see me climb a tree, bro. Pretty good. But here's the thing. Let's just take that fact away. Let's just say, you know what? There is a higher being, a supreme being that's created all this. Why is the question? Why are we created? Why are we here? What impact does it create on our lives in today's society, especially? So in today's society, as you see, especially now with the policies that we have and the politics that we have, ridiculously out of control. And let's just take a little step back, everybody, and take a look at like what's happened in today's society. Has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better? And I would have to say that it's gotten much worse. Why? Because we've kind of gotten away from a belief system. I'm not going to say that Christianity is the way for you. I mean, there's Jehovah's Witnesses, there's Mormons, there's Protestants, there's Catholics, there's all kinds of religions out there. The fact is that we've drawn ourselves away from any kind of basis of religion, started following people instead of a belief system that is grounded on solid foundations of love and forgiveness and things like that. And we're just on our own. We're out there in the world. Could you imagine just like, hey, look, there's a desert. I want you to get over there. Just figure it out. You're on your own. How horrible of a thought would that be? To be like, oh, where are my provisions? You got none. Just walk. People,
good luck.
Yeah. So you have to understand that we are in today's problems because we have pulled ourselves away from anything that is closely, remotely type of religion. So let's talk a little bit about discipline. You mentioned that earlier, how you have to discipline yourself to do certain things, routines, correct? So one of the things that I'm very, very proud of my son or my kids altogether is that they're very disciplined. I can't give that credit to me. I whoop them. That's my discipline. You know what I mean? That's child abuse 101 right there, bro. Anyway, so my kids, I was stern with my kids. This is what it is, and that we're not going outside these boundaries. So they know discipline. But my son has taken it, the one that got me back into God, he's taken it to a different level. He's disciplined beyond belief. He has his workouts, he has his food regimen, how he eats, what he doesn't eat, what time he eats it. He has his church, he has his studies, he has work. But you know what's priority work is like, hey man, I'll work for you, but I need Sundays because that's my day, and good thing, thank God that his boss has always been like, hey man, my family came from a Christian belief. You got Sundays. If that's what you believe, we'll give you that. And so he is disciplined in himself. So if you look at today's kids or just today's society in general, I'm going to leave the kids alone. But if you look at today's society, what do we lack? We lack discipline. Right. Absolutely. And I'm not talking about the discipline of whooping or stand straight or upright. I'm talking about disciplining yourself. Discipline yourself. You get up at a certain time. You don't sleep past a certain time. You wake up and you do this. You have a discipline. You don't just wake up and see like, let's see what today brings. You are disciplined because that's important in life. You have to be disciplined. Now, what else can we encompass in that discipline? Who followed Christ? His disciples.
The disciples, yeah.
Right? Which is a derivative of discipline. They were disciplined. They were taught Christianity by the man himself, right? By Jesus Christ. So now you have disciples, which are disciplined in Christianity, in the belief system, the new covenant, right? So if you look back at everything that we do, we should have and should be disciplined in the things that we do, right? That's why it's so hard, because we were, in belief of Catholics or Christianity, belief is that you were born into the original sin. You were born knowing sin, right? And that's unfortunate. We have no control over that. We just got popped out and we're sinned. We're the dirty ones, right?
Yeah.
That's why you have to be disciplined. That's why you have to have a discipline, a regiment where you get, this is what I'm doing. This is what I choose to do. That's why for us, naturally, it's easy to do bad. To not think of others, to be selfish, to be self-centered, to be prideful, all those horrible things that make up a human being, all the things, that's just women, all the things you hate about a man, we all have it. That's just the original sin. So
just to put in here, they started it because they influenced Adam to go pick the fruit off the tree.
Times like this that I miss my rib. You know what I mean? Times like this, I miss my rib. I want it back. Anyway, so now, because of that, we have to put some work in, just like everything else. Hey, do you want to be smarter? Guess what? You got to put work in, go to school. Hey, you want to be more fit? Guess what? You got to put the work in. You got to stop eating junk food. You got to start working out. You got to start walking. You know what? Hey, I want a better life. Hey, guess what? Then work hard. You know what I mean? Hey, I need a purpose in life. Well, then you have to discipline yourself to believe in Christianity, to believe in a higher being bigger than ourselves. Because think of that is the biggest egotistical person, to think that you are the supremest person, that, hey, there's no one better than me. This is just me, baby. It's me against the world. Those are very, very horrible things to say. Don't ever say that, guys, because that's really totally against any kind of religion. You are but a speck of dust on an earth that is full of dust. So take that into account, that you have to now discipline yourself to be a better person. Why is it hard? Again, because doing the right thing has never been easy for humanity. It's just the way it is. That's the nature of ourselves, because again, we're blemished. We come short. We fall short because, thank you, Eve. ruined it for everybody. And it wasn't just Eve. Adam had a little bit to do with it. Mr. Tag along over here, right? Had to go follow Eve into sin. But we have to understand that, and this is what's wrong with today's society. So let's take religion out of it for a minute. Let's just take it out just for a minute. Let's say that you are just, I'm from a monkey and there's nothing around that. Fine. Be the monkey man, right? But still, you need to have discipline. You need to be disciplined in what you do. You can't just run amok. Could you imagine if you just birth a child, whether you're a man or a woman, right? In today's society, anybody can birth a child. But I'm meaning, like, if you get your wife pregnant and your wife has a child, birthing a child, right? Both of you did it. Imagine you birthing a child and just, grow up on your own. Figure it out, kid. With no discipline, no nothing, no guidance, nothing.
A feral child.
What's going to happen with that kid? You think that kid's going to learn how to speak? You think he's going to know how to talk? That's the same thing. You think he's going to know how to walk at an early age, how to use a restroom, how to drink water out of a cup? Anything. In fact, do you think he's going to survive? No, absolutely not. We have to instill in our children some form of discipline, right? Some form of regiment, some form of
that's correct
ground level basis to exist. We can't just now
you can, but
but here's the thing. Here's the kicker, Jay. Scientifically, cows, whales, horses, all mammals, right? All mammals. But here's the difference between human and animals. And this is, again, we all evolved from one thing. Why is this possible? We, as human beings, need to instill discipline into our children to make them good citizens. However, when a horse gives birth to what's a baby?
A colt,
or a cow or whatever gives birth, or a whale, they come out naturally knowing what they need to do. Naturally learn to walk.
It's instinctual.
Is instinct. Why? Because they don't have the abilities that we have.
Right. They haven't.
And there's a reason for that, because we were created, right? We were created. It wasn't like we were evolved. There's no such thing, because if that's the case, shouldn't we all be the same? Kind of like snake people from Land of the Lost. Remember the snake people from Land of the Lost?
Slee Stack.
Slee Stack. Shouldn't we all be the same?
I don't know why. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. I don't know why I remember Slee Stack.
But could you imagine if that was the truth, if that was reality of evolution, wouldn't we all be looking the same?
Absolutely.
Regardless of region, we all could look the same. Maybe some of us darker than others, but because of the regions. In reality, we were created for a specific purpose, for a specific reason and purpose in life. We all have roles to play. So how, for anyone to say that we evolved and then from that evolution comes thousands of species is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I wanted to kind of put it all together into today's society and why it's important.
And it is, Genesis 1, what was it? 126. God said, let us make man. And that's a key thing too. It specifically says, let us make man in our image and likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish and the sea and horses and cows and monkeys and everything else, the birds of the sky. So why does it say, let us make man in our likeness?
Trinity.
Right. So here's one of the things that I think we get a little bit too much into. And I'm this guy because I love digging into the scientific stuff, how far out is space and all this kind of stuff.
Before Abraham, I am.
And I don't think we can ever understand what a being that created the entire universe, we can actually comprehend in our peanut minds what that's supposed to look like. So a three-piece being, Trinity, however you want to define it, is the only way we can wrap our minds around it. I think it's one of the reasons we can't look upon him, right? And he can't look upon us. when Jesus died, the blood, that's the filter between us and God, because he can't look directly at us because we're just so sinful. The original, we were talking about.
He's the buffer.
He's the buffer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the whole fallen man thing, I mean, we failed in the very beginning. I mean, that's in the first book of Genesis, right? Yeah. Like
right out the gate, you couldn't even do nothing right, man. Right.
Yeah. It was like Genesis 1-3, right? And the temptation, the serpents tempting them, God's telling you it's for, just go ahead and do it, and Adam and Eve, were driven out of the Garden of Eden, and we are to live a life of pain and labor. We lost our innocence, our happiness, and our deathlessness. That's another thing. If you look at the original people, they all lived in the hundreds of years, and as time went on, that has shrunk down, and now we all live kind of in that same,
70s,
it actually got
80s.
Yeah, 70s, 80s, yeah. It actually got worse for a little while, especially in the medieval times and stuff like that. I mean, people didn't live very long because of diseases and just war and famine and everything else. But the one of the things that I always like to tell folks when they start saying, well, how could you believe this book that's been written? And this is one of the big things that the Muslim people have, that believe in Islam. They're like, well, the Bible is not true to the word because it's been rewritten so many times, and there are multi different versions of it and everything, as far
different
as
religions adapt the books to their beliefs.
That's right.
So
because the original writing was in Aramaic, and then Greek was the very next thing that it was,
Hebrew
translated into, and then it was put into Hebrew, because the first books of the Old Testament of the Bible are what's called the Torah, right? The books that the Jewish folks have.
Correct. The Old Testament.
The Old Testament. Here's my one thing. So bringing it back to today's times, let's say some guy like, what was that? The Branch Davidian or whatever.
Oh yeah, David Davidian. David. I forgot his last name, but the Davidian.
David Duke. That was the
that's wrong. Wrong.
That's the KKK guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
David.
So imagine.
Or something? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So we know who we're talking about. So that guy, if he had you, right, and we are in this group with him, and he says, listen, I need you to go amongst the world to all these different places, and you're going to preach my stuff, whatever it is. And we say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. And so we go to pick a country, favorite country, least favorite country. And they say, you know what? We're going to drag you through the streets behind a horse until you're dead, unless you denounce this David guy.
Yeah, and I like to let us correct ourselves. It was actually Benjamin Roden.
Benjamin Roden?
Yeah. It was just called Ranch Davidian. It was a continuation of the General Association of Davidian Seventh Day Adventists, established by Victor Hautef in 1935.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the originator, but the guy that was there, I think his name was David something. I don't know. It's really irrelevant. The point I'm trying to make is that if there was a group of, say, 12 people that said, we are going to follow this guy into the fire, and they went wherever, and
David Koresh.
David Koresh, there you go. And they said that, if countries still allowed all these horrific ways to kill people, and they said, we're going to flay you, we're going to pull your skin off if you don't denounce this guy. Not one person would go through the horrors that they would have to keep this guy at such a high level, right? They would all denounce him right away. I don't want my skin taken off. I don't want to be dragged by horses. I don't want to be put on a cross, and, I don't want to be cut in half, all these kind of different things. And why do I say all these? because there was a group of people that were followers of Jesus. So James was in Jerusalem and he was killed by a sword, right? Peter was crucified, so they treated him just like and the thing is that people say, oh, these are just stories. No, there's documented things, not just the Bible, but in actual historical records from the Romans and such, that this happened to these people. Paul was beheaded in Rome. Matthew, I believe he's the one that made it the farthest away from Jerusalem, and he got into Ethiopia. He was killed by a sword wound and supposedly suffered really horribly and died. Mark was in Egypt and he was dragged behind horses until he was dead. Luke was hanged in Greece. Thomas was stabbed to death with a spear in India. Matthias was stoned to death and beheaded. And so you just start looking at all of these people that had witnessed with their own two eyes miracles that Jesus did in his day. And for these, we always say the 12, with the group of everybody that was there, it was probably 14 or 15 people. So just use the number 12.
There were women followers as well.
There were women followers too. Yeah. And unfortunately, they weren't listed as much and everything. But so you think about, what did I say? It's 2.4 billion Christians in the world now. That all started from 12 people that gave up their lives in horrific ways to spread a word that is false.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
But it's actually something that if you physically saw all of these miracles happen in front of you, there's no way you could deny that, because you knew what was on the other side of whatever you were going to go through. And I'm telling you right now, we are men. We're easily swayed, just like in the fall of man. The serpent told us, just go ahead and eat the fruit and all this. We would easily say no.
Especially when facing death.
Yeah, even Joe and I here, we can't say, if somebody said, hey, we're going to chop your arms off, and all kinds of gruesome things, that we wouldn't deny God. It's hard to say that you wouldn't. And
I'd give Jay up in a minute if they were going to kill me. God, Jay did it. Yeah, I saw him do it.
It's that guy over there.
It's that guy. But here's the thing. Guys, and I think this is vital. We shouldn't have to sit here and explain this to you, try to make you believe something, because at the end of the day, it's going to be your actions, your belief that's going to save you, not ours. So now I know Jay took the time to explain all these, the relevancy of these things to Christianity, but it's on you guys. I think you guys need to go out there and kind of research it. Just look at things around you. Is everything falling apart? Are we having a hard time? You guys could blame a presidential candidate. You could blame an ex-president, a new president. You could blame whoever you want. Here's the thing about people and doing the wrong things. We always find excuses for those things. We make up, we trivialize everything. We like, oh, this is the reason I did it, is because there's no reason, there's no excuse. That's where the discipline part and the discipline aspect comes into it. We need to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because someone else is doing it or because it's important to them or whatever the key is. We have to do the things that are right because they're right, not because anyone says they are. You have to believe in something or you're going to fall for everything. That's an old saying that is very true. And so, yes, there was a lot of laws for the Jews. And then there was some laws for Christians initially, but it all came down to a very simple thing. And that is a new commandment that Jesus Christ gave. And he, in John 13:34, he says, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you, and also are to love one another. So our new God, or not our new God, but our God now, our new covenant is about love, right? In the beginning, in the Old Testament, it was about, hey, this is what's happening. You do this.
We stone people.
Law says we do this. Yeah, it was that simple. Very, very vicious, very vicious. Now it changed, right? Because now we've entered a new covenant, and it's about love. Now, as a conservative, Do we see that on our side or on the Republican side? No, we don't see it at all. We don't see it anywhere anymore. We've gone away from loving one another, and respecting individuals as an individual. We've gone to just, what, you're left, I hate you. You don't even talk to me. Oh, you support Trump, I hate you. I don't even want to know you. How can you hate someone that you don't even know based on something they like or dislike? I mean, if we sit down for just a moment, take religion away, and just go with the human feelings, the human nature of things. Are you that prepared to hate somebody for the most irrelevant of things because who they like or who they dislike? Like, I can't even picture myself disliking Jay because he likes a band that I don't like, or he's has a better job than I. All that envy, all that hate, it all creates stress in a person's life. So we need to get away from that. We need to figure out, hey, what do I need in my life that's going to balance everything out? And I think as a Christian, and I'm going to say as a new Christian, because I am a very fairly new Christian, in as far as what I believe in and where I'm walking, is that you have to give yourself up to an understanding that you don't have the answers, that there's nothing in this world that's going to give you the answers, or that you're going to be able to do everything. Nothing. You have to give yourself up to someone. And Jay and I chose to give ourselves up to Jesus, and that is the only path that we know. That's the only person that's going to help us. That's going to help us go anywhere. So we don't want to sound like these religious freaks, but we do believe in our belief, and that belief is dear to us. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, when I go to bed, I feel much more better about myself. Now, is there challenges? Yes. I curse like a sailor, and that is so hard for me to kind of stray away from.
We made a pact on that.
Call each other out on it now. So,
yeah.
But you know what? Our work environments sometimes just lead us back into that path. And
absolutely.
And again, that's where discipline comes in. You have to discipline yourself to do it. And when that happens, guys, miracles happen. You know what's that miracle? Let me tell you, when you do that, you live your life the righteous way, believing in Jesus, following Jesus, people are going to say, like, dude, that's not the Joe I know. He's changed so much. And then the questions begin. Hey, bro, why you change? Why don't you curse anymore? Then they're going to find out. And then now you're planting seeds. You're just planting seeds here, wherever you go. And then God takes care of the rest. So let's start off with just the simplest of things, and let's be better humans. Let's learn to love each other regardless of our indifference, regardless of our beliefs, regardless of who we vote for or who we don't vote for. Let's just love each other. Let's just be a society of love, and let's see how much we could do. You know what's so tragic is when something tragic happens to us as a nation, we come together and we're the strongest as ever can be. And we all believe in God. We all believe in united front, but it takes a disaster to happen. So don't forget, there was a flood. There was a reason for that. So let's come together without a disaster happening, and try to be better human beings. Right. So what's your message, Jay? You tell me.
Well, John 3:16, probably the most famous Bible verse, because it's been pitched around in movies and all kinds of stuff. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believed in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin from WWF back in the day.
Now
it's
bro.
the WWE.
You can't use WWF because the pandas are in danger. You got to go back to E.
because they had it for longer. But yeah, it is a definite walk, and like Joe said, we made this pact to basically call each other out on when we're doing stupid stuff, and Joe texted me one day and said, hey man, I need a favor from you, and I need you to hold me accountable. And so we kind of made this, we had to cut our hands and shake on it. And
there was a chicken involved.
Chicken and head and blood and all kinds of stuff everywhere. It was a mess. We did it all the wrong way. No, there was none of that. But we have agreed to really hold each other accountable on this stuff. And I think it's really good. It's just, so again, going back to going to the gym analogy, sometimes people can't do that on their own, right? So what do they get? Personal trainer, somebody to help them along on their journey. Tiger Woods, undoubtedly probably one of the best golfers that's been around. Michael Jordan, Kobe, all these great athletes. Boxers, think about some of the best boxers. What do they have in their corner? Who do they have on the sidelines? Coaches.
They're trainers.
They're trainers, people to help them along the way, because they falter. They doubt themselves. They are not always pure of mind in their sport or their talent or whatever. Oh man, I'm a loser today. No, you're not a loser today. You beat everybody on all these kind of different, accounts and everything. And now I need to get you back on that path. And that's what we're here to do for each other. And that's why, grouping up like this last Sunday, we attended church. Wednesday, I have Wednesday night Bible studies. And the reason I do that is to be connected with more people, to give more opinions and ideas. And the thing is, I'll leave us with this. I know a couple people that have been very involved with like AA, right? Alcoholics Anonymous. Some of the best people to get other folks through addiction is people that have already been addicted themselves. So one of the best things you'll ever find in Christianity is people that have been down and out and not Christians, or failed in in the godly thing and came up and rose up out of that. And they are some of the best people for that, because again, when we started this conversation, one of the things I said was that a lot of generalized folks think that, well, I'm not good enough to be a Christian anyways, and why would I believe in this fairy tale and all this kind of stuff? You are good enough, and you can be. You just have to want it.
Yeah.
Just like the whole working out thing and any other example you want to give. The first time you drove a car, you were probably nervous, and now we've been driving forever. And, you got to practice it. You have to want it, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a better person and better to your neighbors.
No. And how do you know if you believe in fairy tales? Well, if you believe in Harris, then clearly you believe in fairy tales. So I'm just kidding. It's never too, guys, it's never too late. I'm going to tell you right now, it's never too late. As long as you've got breath in your body, it's never too late. So you know what? And again, and I just urge you, take the religion aspect out of it if you need to, but start by loving your neighbors like you love yourself, guys. Let's just do one little thing, baby steps at a time. Let's do little things, and see what happens, man. Let's just do that. Challenge yourself. Change one aspect about yourself and see how your life starts to change. And
baby steps for baby steps for baby Jesus.
There you go.
I'm gonna make shirts. That's it,
bro. That's awesome. Baby steps for baby Jesus. I love it. Why didn't I come up with that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now. So
do you do coffee cups? Because I love coffee.
Yeah,
I love it. So. All right, brother. Hey, guys, thank you guys for your time. I know it's important and valuable to you, and we appreciate the time that you give us. And I hope you guys take a little bit out of these messages that we give you. We do take our time to talk about it. And coming soon, we're going to talk a little bit more about ourselves and our personal life and our walk with Jesus and where it's getting us to eventually always be walking with Jesus. So stay tuned, and more great episodes to follow about this topic and many more. So. Jay, thank you again, brother. Appreciate all you've done for me. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too, man. All right, everybody. Make sure you take care of one another.
And remember, do better, be better.
And as always,
God bless
America.
We love you guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.